pass eventually, once the nose of the camel is under the tent, they'll be telling you what kind of house you can build, and how big it can be, and where it can be placed, and what kind of fences you can have. Believe me, this will happen. If it's not this group of people up here, some of whom I respect a great deal, and I am sure think that they're doing the right thing, it'll be another group of people, and they'll be bought by realtors with campaign contributions, and they'll be told what to do by people at the state level who want you to do this, that, or the other. Do not allow. If we are idiots enough to allow zoning to come in to enforce the comprehensive plan, which is going to give us pie in the sky and thousands of jobs and wonderful chicken in every pot, as Herbert Hoover said. If we are dumb enough to put up with that, we deserve whatever we get.
Okay. Next, anybody else?
Beth Chenoweth. I live at 8913 North 100 West in Linden. Crawfordsville worked really hard a few years ago to be designated as Solar City in 2015. And one of the main purposes for this was that they wanted to attract more people, more young people, to the area. And I believe if wind farms were allowed to come into this county, it would be like shooting ourselves in the foot, because it's been shown that Indiana counties that have wind farms are projected to have a decrease in population. And that's the total opposite of what we're trying to do in Montgomery County. Wind farms will not make someone want to live here. They will cause them to go somewhere else. So that's why I support the new proposed wind ordinances.
Seth Howe, 2210 North, 625 East. You never plan on speaking of these, but I wanted to just say a few things. One of the things we love about this area is you don't have to be wealthy to feel wealthy. You know, like we sit out this whole holiday weekend, we sat out the fire pit, looking at sunsets, sliding down slip and slides. You know, you can do that affordably still in this county, still enjoy these things that people in cities pay millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars to go vacation to. We get to have that every night. And I think allowing industrial turbines to come in really, like she said, just stabs that in the foot. I mean, stabs ourselves in the foot to enjoy these things for our future. Where this comes into play with you guys, I kept thinking, you know, we have been able to last so long without zoning. And it's like Mayberry with Barney with the one bullet, you know. We were able to trust our neighbors to not do these things to us. Well, we're getting to a place where we need protection. We can't rely on that anymore. We have corporations wanting to come take these simple rural pleasures from us. And to me, I trust people I can vote for and have a board and have a hearing on things to implement those protections. And I think you guys are on the right track with what you put forward. So.
Anybody else? All right. Hearing Kathy.
Goes on the planning commission. Thank you for picking me up.
Name?
Kathy, I'm sorry.
Just for the record.
All right. I'd just like to start by saying it's probably been 2 months ago, I stood up at the commissioners' meeting and I asked if, in regards to the comprehensive plan with the windmills, and then I understand that there was to be 200 windmills by the map in Montgomery County. My concern was, were there any safety studies done on the close proximity of the wind turbines to the schools? One of them, I believe, right on 231, close by in the north school district, was only a quarter mile from the schools. I have been in contact with several organizations, and one that has supplied quite a bit of information and prepared a letter that I'd like to read to you. I apologize. I started to make copies, and my printer didn't get page 3 before it ran out, so I will submit these to you later. All right, so this is from the North American Platform Against the Wind Power. Letter to the Commissioners of Montgomery County, Indiana. To whom it may concern, thank you for the opportunity to address our concerns regarding the Bison Wind proposed wind factory. I was contacted by Kathy Crawford, my address in Indiana. She was very interested in information or safety studies on wind turbines in close proximity to the schools. She inquired about the effect of wind turbines on all students and safety issues that included the teachers and the staff. She noted that her responsibilities include caring for special needs children with the autism spectrum, ADD, and various learning challenges. The North American Platform Against Wind Power respectfully asks that you consider the most recent and up-to-date advice on those impacted and those around the world, excuse me, considering larger setbacks at a minimum, plus their attempts to assist in regulations around ice throw, shadow, flicker, harm to health, water contamination, turbine component liberation, and wildlife kills. We have for years been deeply concerned about health impacts for schools and children, especially those with special needs. Any gratification you may receive from the developers will be paltry, demeaning, and not offer any kind of compensation for the harm that is certain to come your way. There are several points that are forefront. Please note that our organization has performed diligence and research for upwards of 10,000 hours, and that the facts we offer are not refutable. Infrasound and low-frequency noise and pulsation are now known to travel outwards 15 to 20 kilometers from communities, from resources, and that harm is being done even though people may not immediately realize it. Please, and I want to note here, there's like 10 points, and for each one of these statements that she makes, there is a link that you can pull up the whole article. I didn't see the point in giving you a stack of papers. I know from Commissioner Fullwider that said that you had like 1,000 pieces of paper. So this is kind of condensed in everything that she's saying here. You can have the resources to back it up. Okay, so even though the people may not immediately realize it, please see our current update of today published in Master Resource. 1/4 mile setback from property lines or homes will not protect the people. Water contamination from drilling for turbines is known to release particles from dangerous, and certainly the water is not portable. See Chapman, Kent, Ontario, that part. Number 3, children and the elderly are likely the most impacted. Autistic children, ADS, ADE, affected young people as those with hypercut will have a large problem and will suffer advancements in life and enjoyment. Shadow flicker will also impact these same persons. People must leave their home for relief, and that is where they should feel the most protected. Number 4, we are attaching the zoning ordinance, see point number 5, for Somerset, New York, which has made development fairly difficult, if not impossible, because they have put people first. Number 5, this is ultra important, so study what other communities are doing to protect citizens. Please consider that industrial wind is not clean, green, free, safe, or cheap. It is likely the largest scam we have witnessed in the modern age. Turbines are massive machines built from steel, copper, plastic, mired in tons of cement, adhesive, rebar, highly toxic rare earth elements from China, and using up to or more than 400 to 700 gallons of oil and lubricants. These leak with no containment system and must be replenished. 100% backup power is always required. Please grant yourselves ample time to reflect on the magnitude of machines higher than 600 feet, with blades the length of a football field in tandem magnification and discord with each other, pounding, hammering, squeaking, and producing harmful emissions. Impacts from infrasound, as noted, are described as torture. If need be, please create more space for this reflection. With all of this authority you are granted on behalf of your citizens, this could be the most significant decision for your communities for the next 100 to 200 years. The impacts will survive that length of time. Thank you most sincerely, and I do appreciate your help. I'd like to give this to one of you, and I will send it to Lori's office or Dan's.
Mark, Mark.
Great, thank you.
Earl Bennett, 2972 North Old 055. And first of all, I commend you people for listening to all this. Lord knows we've listened to it a lot. And I imagine John can pretty well recite everything that everybody's going to say. But I think they're kind of getting away from the main issue here, and I believe it's planning and zoning. And it's not, you know, it looks like they're putting the pressure on you to stop the wind farms. Now, that may happen, it may not. But planning and zoning is the main issue. And I think one lady brought it up, the fact that it's mainly focused on the wind farms. It leaves open, what if a landfill comes in? What if a hog operation? There's a lot, what about solar panels? Does it address anything with solar? So if you're going to adopt a zoning issue, make sure it covers what it needs to be covered. Now, the main thing right now is the wind turbines. And I respect everybody's opinion. They all have it, one to another. But the main issue is the zoning issue. And we're rushing into that just so we can stop the wind farms. And what is it laying us open for in the future? So take a moment and remove yourself from the wind farm debate and look at what is in front of you, which is the planning and zoning. But if you do take that into consideration, and you operate on that noise level, could you do something about the cars and the boom boxes? That really does bother me and stuff. So keep it in a light mode and think about the whole issue. Think about the future. We're at a crossroads in Montgomery County. What direction do you want to go? One side, and it's sad that we have to divide one side against the other, but that's the way a lot of issues are. But we respect those issues, and you, as a board, has to sort those out, and what you think is important and what you think is not important. What you think is fact and what you think is not fact. And you have a monumental issue in front of you. And may God speak and be with you, because we can't look into the future and tell what is going to be best. So if we could just wrap this meeting up and go home, we don't have to go to work tomorrow. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we've all heard had the chance to study the issues. I entertain a motion to adopt the ordinance presented to us.
Based on the Commission's review of the proposed zoning ordinance, public comments received by the Commission, consideration of the case report, and discussion by the Commission finds as follows. The zoning ordinance is consistent with the comprehensive plan that this Commission passed 7-1. The zoning ordinance pays reasonable regard to current conditions and character of current structures and uses in each district by designated zoning districts and uses consistent with existing use. The zoning ordinance pays reasonable regard to the most desirable use for which land in each district is adapted. The zoning ordinance promotes the conservation of property values throughout the unincorporated areas of the county by establishing general regulations to promote orderly development, enhancing development standards, mitigating conflicting issues, and protecting landowners from the loss of value due to placement of wind turbines on adjacent property. And the zoning ordinance promotes the responsible development and growth by requiring review of change in use which could adversely affect transportation and other infrastructure, drainage, schools, economic development, enjoyment of use of land, and other relevant factors. Based on these findings, I move that the Planning Commission send a favorable recommendation to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners regarding the adoption of this zoning ordinance.
I have a second. Second. I'm going to open discussion amongst the board. Any questions anyone has? You want to ask our attorney, Dan? He's here now. I would entertain any discussion amongst the board.
Dan, I have at least one. The ordinance, I think we learned the last time, was modeled after Kosciuszko County.
The wind portion, yes.
The wind portion. Has it had any legal challenges that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of it. And I checked it about 2 weeks ago last, unless something's happened recently.
I typed mine because I don't usually talk, so I typed mine, and I just wanted to note first that I love to see the turnout here, and I think everybody out there and up here truly loves Montgomery County and wants what's best for our families and our neighbors and for each other. And that includes Mr. John Fry, who has been unfortunately the target of some ugly ads lately. Even though he and I don't think always see eye to eye, I do trust that he loves the county and wants good things. But I do think I owe it to the public and to the commission to explain how I'm going to vote on Mr. Morgan's motion. And again, because like somebody just recently stated, we're not really here to vote for or against wind, just for or against this particular ordinance, which happens to contain a chapter on wind. But we're not here to decide whether or not we support or don't support wind. It's kind of a sub-issue. And the main thing is this is a zoning and planning ordinance. So at our last meeting, there was a motion to pass with favorable, and I abstained. I had come that night assuming I would vote yes, and then I listened to all the people, all of you that got up and spoke, and I thought about the emails I had received prior to that, and I was really conflicted. said some silent prayers, and I had all this horrible heartburn, and I just decided I couldn't vote yes or no, so I abstained. So in the time since we all last saw each other, we've continued to hear from more members of the public, and emails and conversations have still been going. I've heard from people who are Republicans and people who are Democrats, people who are lifelong Montgomery County residents and have been for generations, and people like myself who are first-generation residents here in this great county. I've heard from people who want wind, who don't want wind, who want zoning and don't want zoning. And until tonight, I hadn't had one person speak with very much favor for passing this particular ordinance as it's written. And in regards to doing the will of the people, like we're trying to do with the comp plan, when we look at the comp plan, I pulled it up today and looked at pages 37, 58, and 124. And we see that there are, in fact, 9 things that you, the people, spoke about with some concern, such as landfills, water transfer stations, CAFOs, and more. But yet not one of those other 8 are in this ordinance. It's only singled out wind. So where do we stand with the windmills, with the CAFO farms? All those other things that the will of the people spoke out about aren't included in this. And so again, in trying to meet the will of the people, this seems rushed and incomplete, and like it's just not ready yet. And so while I appreciate the hard work that people have put into this and the goodwill behind it, I cannot in good conscience vote for something that is incomplete and not ready. Thanks.
I guess I would disagree with that, and this ordinance does contain regulations for sanitary landfills, waste transfer stations, meteorological towers, as well as wind. So, you know, they are in this ordinance. This is a process. The wind issue, in a typical situation, you would just pass the zoning ordinance portion of this. But because we're forced, because of litigation, the wind chapter was added to this.
It is threatened litigation, correct? They have not yet filed, or did they file? It's my understanding they sent a letter threatening, but they haven't actually proceeded. Thank you.
There are other chapters that, as was stated here tonight, that will be added to this. The CAFO is one. Residential development standards is another that will be added, that will address down the road. Economic development zones and stormwater ordinances. So just a few of the things that we'll address going forward. But so to say it is solely wind is not correct. It addresses several of those other things in this ordinance. You know, we all have had the opportunity for our voices to be heard. From that input, we now have a comprehensive plan. I appreciate everybody that's here's passion for this. That's why you're here. But, you know, anybody that criticizes several hundred, more in the 1,200 people range, somebody said 700. I've heard all kinds of numbers of, you know, of not being a representative sample. This room is a handful. You know, I appreciate your passion. But we spent months and months and months of public input from our citizens to come up with a comprehensive plan. And it is our job to implement that comprehensive plan. And that's all this board is tasked with doing. You know, I don't disagree with my fellow board members' passion as well, but that's our job, that's our duty, and we have to follow the will of the people. So, anybody else have anything to
I got a couple of questions that are more for Dan probably. Does the Planning Commission make these zoning ordinances? What is the process?
The zoning ordinance is a legislative act, so the role of the Planning Commission is to study and recommend to the county commissioners. County commissioners have the role of adopting any ordinances and any amendments to the ordinances that might come later. So the Planning Commission is the way it's envisioned in the statute is the planning commission does a lot of the heavy lifting on formulation and studying and listening to the public. And then when it gets to the county commissioners, it's an ordinance like any other ordinance. You've been commissioners, you know, you have many ordinances come before you. And although the county commissioners are not required to always vote consistently with your recommendations, they certainly receive your certifications and review your information about your recommendations. So it's the county commissioners who would ultimately approve any ordinance and any changes to the ordinance.
So they could change the ordinance after they get it, send it back.
They could, yes.
What role does the Board of Zoning Appeals play in all this? Are they like the final authority if somebody has an appeal or wants a variance or whatever, do they have the final say in what happens?
No, I think it's largely misunderstood what the Board of Zoning Appeals does because of the name. It sounds like a court of last resort or a place where people go. But the Board of Zoning Appeals handles three primary issues, and that is if if an applicant believes the zoning administrator is misapplying the ordinance, they can appeal administrative decisions to the Board of Zoning Appeals. For example, if someone wanted to build there was a case in Fountain County I'm aware of recently where a farmer wanted to open a hardwood furniture business and was going to build a barn, and the zoning administrator told them, well, that's a business, so you'll need to approve that. Well, you'll need to get that approved, and they did approve it, but the landowner said, well, I don't really think it's a separate business. I'm a farmer, it's related to what I do. If he disagreed with that, he could have appealed that technical decision to the Board of Zoning Appeals to see whether the administrator would do his job correctly. The second area are variances, and variances are when someone says, I don't want to follow your ordinance at all about any particular issue, whether it be an architectural standard or a use standard, and the Board of Zoning Appeals hears those matters, and there are specific criteria and findings it has to make in determining whether to grant or deny those variances. Those are still discretionary in the Board of Zoning Appeals, those decisions. And then finally, special use, which is somewhat the focus of some of the discussion tonight. But in a special use application, the Board of Zoning Appeals hears that. And if the special use is granted, then if it's part of a rezone case, the rezone case actually goes on to the county commissioners after the Board of Zoning Appeals, perhaps imposes some conditions upon the special use. So those are the three types of cases the Board of Zoning Appeals hears. For the most part, all rezone decisions and zoning ordinance decisions belong to the county commissioners as a legislative body. If somebody doesn't like their decision, they can appeal to court. Is where that appeal goes to, not to the BZA. And the planning commission has the final say on plat cases, on all plat matters, whether it be a approval of an initial amendment, a vacation, or an abandonment. Those issues are the final decision of the planning commission, and there are about 6 other what I call administrative rulings the planning commission has the final say on, like unsafe building law, things like that. So in the statute, each body, whether it be the Board of Zoning Appeals, the planning commission, or the county commission, have very defined roles in who is the final decision.
Everyone else?
Okay, so here's a question, maybe it's more of a Dan thing. Procedurally, is it possible for us to, I'm not making a motion because we got one on the floor, but is it possible to table this and work on getting the other 8 ordinances put in, or chapters put in for the other other concerns from the comp plan, and then come together and when we have a complete document.
Yeah, the planning commission, right now, the planning commission could pull out or insert anything in its proposal that it wants before it goes to the county commission. Because you could table the matter for further study or further chapters being added. You could remove sections of the current proposal, or you could amend any word in this ordinance. And you have that authority as a commission to get the ordinance like you want it before it becomes considered by the county commission.
Okay, thank you.
Question? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion read, raise your right hand. Those opposed? 5-3. Nope, yep, 5-3. Okay, motion's passed. Any other business to come before the board? Do you know of anything we need to?
Just have a certification I'll pass around and ask each of you to sign and then take your vote on it. It's a formal document delivered.
All right, entertain motion to adjourn. So moved.